How true was it that you could very easily acquire Ukrainian war bread at the start of the war? I mean, refugee bread.
That's messed up.
Probably very easily if you're living in Europe, because what about
Yeah.
10 million people that left within the first month of the war?
Do you
Yeah, I
want to
was
really
seeing posts
destroy
about
life?
that so much on Facebook.
I
It's less
feel
than that.
Honestly, hey, look, you know what, though, man, that's par for the course throughout human history. So if you get yourself, a young hot Ukrainian bride because of circumstances, hey, man, you're winning at least.
That's messed up, bro.
Hey, listen,
No, that's an underexplored element of this conflict is that, and you look about why wars continue, it usually is because all sides involved are gaining something. And even though Europe has lost energy supply and is kind of cut off from the post-colonial world now, which is 75% trading with Russia and only 25% not trading with Russia, they are gaining. And one thing they're gaining is demographically. They're bringing in a large number of white, young, marriageable women who are not coming in with their men, but are coming in with their children. And that is to the great demographic advantage of the countries that are absorbing the refugees. So this is a reason why Europe would tolerate things that look very bad militarily and economically, look very good demographically. And the United States and Canada gain even more because they are traditionally countries that absorb a huge amount of refugees, and Canada especially. And these countries are also in something of a demographic crisis. So they're benefiting from chaos and harm in Eastern Europe and leaving Ukraine a complete wreck of a country that has a 50% of the GDP and probably at this point maybe only half the population. And that kind of suits both sides as a long-term buffer zone. So this demographic element is important. And from Russia's point of view, even if they lose those people who go west, they don't want the people that are going left, east, west. They want the people who are staying or going east. And they also would look at it as a demographic boost to themselves, to the fact that there's 2 or 3 million of those refugees at least in Russia now out of the 10, or maybe it's even more now. So as this continues, we have to consider the demographic shift as one huge economic question, and we also have to look at the refugees as a weapon scenario. In the short term, it's hard to absorb that many people, especially if they're not, the breadwinner of the family historically. So you then have a lot of women and children that need homes and they need maybe re-education or help. And that's a big burden on the social services of these countries. So that is a short-term pain issue that helps Russia again make the case for some kind of negotiated peace where large numbers of these people might either go home or at least the pain of the energy crunch is reduced. So enough airtime for that. But I do think it's an underestimated issue, the population shift.
As of June this year, the BBC reported that there were 12 million that left Ukraine. That number has almost certainly gone up since then, but
yeah, it didn't go down.
Quite a lot. I mean, I can only imagine it's gone up. Maybe not by a lot, but it's gone up.
Yeah, because of the blackouts and stuff, I think people are moving out of the country.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to drive millions out, the blackouts alone. I mean, your country runs on electric heating, usually fairly efficient, Soviet-era water circulation heating. Maybe some of it's geothermal, but ultimately still relying on electric sources. So that's...
Once this winter goes into full swing, if you don't end up seeing mass migration outside of Ukraine, you're going to see mass death. You're going to see insane amounts of it in this country.
Yeah.
And they're talking about there was a humanitarian crisis at the start of the war. I mean, the humanitarian crisis will only get worse once the Russian winter rolls in. To be honest,
well,
you're going to see. There's no way you're not going to see more mass migration, or you'll see whole cities just capitulate to Russian forces because they're just too cold.
That's what I expect. I expect whole cities capitulating because their medical and energy infrastructure is totally not functional anymore, and it's a choice of death or Russia. And nobody may necessarily be all that happy with that in the West, but that is what realistically you're looking at in a total war scenario. When the United States and the UK destroyed Iraq in 1 month of aerial bombing, they took out a lot of infrastructure, and a lot of people died as a result of infrastructure not being there. Emergency ambulances not being there to get you to the hospital, hospitals jammed with troops and so on. And that's in a country with a very benign climate. Ukraine does not have a benign climate in the winter time, and things amplify. So, and those hospitals are jammed full of wounded troops that are getting priority. And to top it off,